Hi guys, so in this video I am going to discuss why narcissists might be giving you the silent treatment. First of all, if you like this content, feel free to like and subscribe. If you click on the little bell, you can get notified with new content. I try to put up videos weekly, 2 to 3 a week. And if you are interested in private coaching, life coaching to help you overcome the trauma from the narcissistic abuse and help you process this and find some freedom and happiness on the other side of it, go to www.coachcat, that's with a KAT.org. So why do narcissists give you the silent treatment? Well, there's a number of different reasons. I have a new little kitty, so she may be running around meowing. They remember that these people are broken. You know, they are broken. They are full of fear internally. They act like they're impervious to any sort of emotional situation, but really they are deeply neurotic, and they are wounded individuals. They have a intense fear of rejection. So everything that they're doing in life is about avoiding rejection, avoiding shame, and obtaining narcissistic supply, which is, again, we've talked about a lot, it's an addiction to outside validation. Now, if they are the cerebral narcissist, it is not, if they're like a cerebral covert narcissist, this is not an overt thing at all. It's very under the radar. And perhaps with the cerebrals, they're very concerned about being perceived as the smartest. They need you to think that they are the most intelligent person in the room. And internally, they believe that. They think they're smarter than everyone, even though they may have a false humility where they act like they think other people are smarter than them. It's a really weird thing. That's my kitty. So they, keep in mind that in these families, these people were hurt. Whatever way they were hurt, it could have just been that their parents were emotionally unavailable, very stoic, not very loving, and they could have been narcissistic themselves. There could have been codependence, narcissism in the family. They could have this whole family dynamic of narcissism where they think that they're the smartest people on the planet, right? And they may be a whole family of cerebral narcissists where they're only concerned about outside appearances, looking good to the public. All they care about is their kids achieving. They're not interested in their child or their kids or their adult children's emotional well-being. There's no emphasis on emotions. These are not families that typically will, go to therapy. They're not families that will ask their child, like, how are you feeling? How is this? How are you processing all of this? How is this? What's your internal life like? And then sometimes, there may have been no like overt abuse, but it was just that they were put on the children were objectified. They were extensions of the parents. They were there to make the parents look like good parents. They were there to, display perfection so the world could look at them and be like, oh, look at that perfect family. Look at those perfect parents. Look at those perfect children. Wow, everything's so perfect about them. Look how smart they are. Look how perfectly clean their houses are. Look how perfect their cars are. Look how amazingly perfect everything is in their lives, right? So they're all about this, this showing this mask of perfection to the world when internally there's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of dysfunction internally inside. This may not be displayed in any sort of overt way. These may be people that pretend to be perfect even with each other, right? So this is all about, this performance, this mask of perfection. So, they may have been, these children may have been objectified in the family of like, you're the smartest, especially in the cerebral narcissist families, you're the most intelligent, you're so smart. And they were put on this pedestal and they were given approval and validation based on performance, based on getting an A, based on being the star of the soccer team, based on, being the best at the best. So this is a family of like, where they're all about winning and appearing to be the best and being better than others and achievement. And, everything is about an outside display of perfection. So the main reason that you are going to get the silent treatment from a narcissist if you're in a relationship with one is that you have caused a narcissistic injury. Now, you may have done this because you exposed the narcissist, or you tried to expose the narcissist, or you may have set boundaries with them. You may have said no. You may have called them out on their, mind fuckery. You may have, somehow you created a narcissistic injury. Now, you may have also done this completely inadvertently. Maybe you did something that offended the narcissist in some way, and you have no idea what you did. That's very common if you're in a relationship with a covert narcissist. Like, you may have done something, you have no idea that they're offended, because they're not going to be honest with you. They're not going to tell you, hey, that offended me. I didn't like when you did that. Because they're strangely, with especially the coverts, they can be strangely about everything's perfect, everything's perfect, everything's perfect. So, for them to be vulnerable and to tell you they have a problem with you, they're sometimes they're just not going to stoop to that level, because that would require them being honest and showing, a little bit of vulnerability. So, you created some sort of narcissistic injury. You either did this because you exposed the narcissist, or you tried to, or you have no idea what you did. But whatever, they're holding this quiet, secret, passive-aggressive grudge against you. And what will happen when, the way they look at you is, in the first place, they loved everything about you. Everything was amazing. You were perfect. You were on the pedestal. You could do no wrong. You were just absolutely amazing to them. And you felt that. You felt love bombed. You felt very accepted. They may have accepted your crazy family, and you're like, oh, wow, this person really, really accepts me. You feel totally loved, right? Because they have you on this pedestal and they're worshiping you, right? But everything about you that they loved in the first place, now they hate it. That's the splitting, black and white. Like, there's no shades of gray. They cannot see that you are a person that's overall a good person. You've got your flaws. You've got your, just like all humans, just like they have flaws, right? So they're so disconnected from the reality of their own flaws, their own insecurities. They, in their minds, they're perfect. And in the beginning, when you're with them, you must also be perfect because they picked you, right? So you must be perfect. But remember, there are 3 phases of the relationship: idealization, devaluation, and discard. And they are going to, kick you off that pedestal. So now I'm very, very skeptical when I'm dating somebody new. If they put me on a pedestal, that is a huge red flag for me, especially if they're not finding out, asking questions to know who the real me is in my internal life, and they're just putting me on this weird pedestal. That is a giant red flag. So everything about you that they loved at one point, they now hate. And remember, when they're giving you the silent treatment, like, these people know your weaknesses. They have studied you, not for the purpose of understanding you and loving you fully. They've studied you so they can manipulate you. So they are playing this sick chess game, right? They're very strategic. If they're the higher level, malignant, covert narcissists, or the sociopaths, they are geniuses at being cunning. You think that they're so smart, but I would argue that they are dumb as a box of rocks when it comes to any sort of emotional intelligence. So their type of intelligence is it's very limited. It is a type of intelligence that has to do with being able to manipulate people's emotions. They're high level at that, being very cunning, being very duplicitous, being very good at lying. Like, that is not an intelligence to strive for, in my opinion. But it's a very it's very limited type of intelligence. But because they know all about you, they know your buttons, they know what makes you tick, they are going to enact revenge. In their minds, they need to top you. Whatever you did to hurt them, they're going to get you back worse. But it's going to be in this very cunning, under the radar, hidden, strategic way. And the covert narcissists, like the covert malignant narcissists, these people can be the most cunning, the most strategic. It's a little bit frightening. And of course, they think that they're much smarter than you. They have made that assumption they wouldn't even be with you if they didn't think they were smarter than you. They need to be superior. They also think they're smarter than everyone, pretty much. So, they are, they're superior, and they're very good at manipulating people's emotions. And they do this, and they're very good at doing it to harm you. So they know you. They in this sense, they don't really know you like in a loving way of really knowing, you know, what's going to, like what you need in life or who you are and the richness of you. It's a really weird dichotomy because they know you and they know what's going to cause a reaction. They know what's going to hurt you best. They have mastered this. They've honed this craft. So they know how you're going to react, and they are going to use the silent treatment and stonewalling and gaslighting and manipulation to control you and to create a reaction. They're all about creating a reaction. And this is all a game to them. It's a chess game. These people are game players. They absolutely get off on playing games. And if you're not that way, I am like the worst at playing games. Everyone who knows me knows that. So like you may just be like befuddled because you don't get it. You're not thinking like they do. You're not looking at the relationships as a chess game. You're looking at relationships as like, what can I do to feed this and nurture this and love this person and help make them happier? You know, that's how you look at relationships. Just very different than how they look at them. They look at them like, how can I win? How can I gain advantage over this person? Sorry, it's the kitty. How can I be, you know, very strategic, and how can I get what I want by manipulating? That's how they look at relationships. Very different than the way you do. So, you need to change the way you react. If you're in a relationship with one of these people, you need to change the way that you're reacting and try to not react in the same way that you would. And that is very hard to do when you're in a state of trauma, when you are, you've been manipulated for a decade or 15, 20 years, and you are, they know how to push your buttons. So the best thing you can actually do is to step out of the game. You cannot play this game with these people. You're never going to win. That you won't stoop to the levels they stoop to you know, hurt, that you just won't. You don't get off on hurting people in the way they do. So they're going to use all of your weaknesses against you. And this is very, you know, this can be very, you know, painful. So, you know, that's why they may be using the, you know, silent treatment. And malignant narcissists, they're very strategic. They really don't have much empathy, if any at all. It's very impaired. They think they're the smartest people in the world. They're very cunning and manipulative. And the best thing you can do is step out of the game. Get out of the game. Do not play this game with them. They must win. It's a zero-sum game. You must lose. So if you're playing the game with them, they are ruthless. They are going to do whatever they can to destroy you, and they're going to stop at nothing. These people, you know, they're living in this. Remember, this is a disease of perception. I mean, so much of what's going on with them is they have these twisted minds. They're anxiety ridden and full of this, you know, I think at the very core of it, there's a lot of self-loathing, even though that's not how they present. They have this really sick internal world. It's a twisted place to be. You don't want any part of that. The best thing you can do is truly distance yourself. Remove yourself from the whole game. Get out of it. Step out of it. Stop playing chess with these people. And, you know, that disconnect can be quite painful because if you've been doing this dance for a long time with them, you have almost like an addiction to the narcissist. It is almost like breaking an addiction when you're getting out of these relationships. They have an addiction to you, but only as a source of supply. You're fuel for them. That new source of supply is fuel. All the other people that they're grooming, that's fuel. They look at it like they're pulling up to a gas station. Oh, that's the kitty. They're pulling up. I think I'm gonna have to stop this video and I'll start it again in a minute.